I'm in like the most vulnerable state right now, and it feels really nice because I'm now a humble student of life again, instead of coming from a place of like, I know everything. Now I'm like, I know nothing.
Hello, you beautiful bluebirds, and welcome back to another episode of Deja Blu. It is your girl Blue here, and I am really excited about today's chat because it is happening via Zoom. And yet, whenever I chat with this woman, I feel like she's sitting right next to me with a cup of tea and deep belly laughs. This woman has really created and carved out a tiny little pocket that's attached to my heart, and she just, a very small miniature version of herself just sits in it. And occasionally, whenever I need a little bit of support or inspiration, she just taps on my heart space and goes, I'm still here. And this woman is such an inspiration to me, and a soul sister, a fellow avatar and light being, and a woman that is continuing to carve the way of what it means to be human and how to be fully expressed unapologetically in this lifetime. She is a YouTuber, a creatrix, a muse, an inspiration, and a way shower. It is an absolute honor to introduce to you Sorelle Amore.
Blue. You're so amazing. Wow. That intro, the little pocket, I can imagine myself on your heart, and you have the exact same thing on my heart as well. Just like such a strong connection. I love it. Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful and so blessed to be able to introduce you to my audience, because this platform that I've cultivated and built is really to be able to highlight the voices of those that have inspired me in even just a very short time we've spent physically together. And yet your presence on this earth, and just how you weave, and the way that you speak in your videos, and the way that you show life through your lens, and your exponential creativity and your ability to storytell is such an inspiration to me, that even though we've physically spent a short amount of time together, the fact that I know you and we're friends has illuminated my days. And so that's the little pocket in the heart. It's like, anytime that I just feel like there's not much creative inspiration, I just pull you out of my little pocket in my heart, and then you do a little tap dance on my hand, and you're like, da 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 da. You can do it this way, da 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 da.
We're so damn cute. Damn.
Yes, and your tap dancing skills are actually pretty exquisite, I'd have you know.
Wow, thank you. I've never done that in real life, but I'm glad I did it on your hand.
So you're coming in from Iceland.
Yeah, girl. I am from Iceland, just outside of Reykjavik. And I'm an Australian that lives here. It's pretty freaking ridiculous. My life is just weird. It's very strange, just like yours.
Exactly. And I think that that's the common thread that connects us. And we're like, you know what? I'm weird. You're weird too. Let's be weird together.
Weirdness is the best. I used to be so shy about weirdness, but it's epic.
I mean, weirdness, if you call someone weird, it's, from my perspective, a massive compliment.
Same. Absolutely. When people call me weird, I'm like, wow, you see me. Thank you.
Totally. All words are subjective, and I'm going to filter that through the lens of, that's a great message of empowerment. I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
Hi, everybody. Speaking of weird, Sorelle, not only do you create YouTube videos, and what I find to be very inspiring, specifically recently, is that you are constantly seeking and doing a scan of all the areas of your life that fear may have been sat there before, have restricted you from doing it. And now you're just like going in the direction of it. You're like, you know what? I felt a little bit of fear, or a narrative of a story that says I'm not a musician and it's too late to start music. Now all of a sudden I play the harp and the piano and the guitar, and I'm posting videos of myself doing it online and breaking through all the resistance and the fear. And we'll go into that in a moment. And talking of weird, you've also set yourself a challenge, 365 days of eccentric fashion.
Yeah.
Sorelle, let's start there. I'm so fascinated about it. Tell me, what was the inspiration behind the scenes? What got that spark of like, I'm going to do this? And then how has it been for you?
Okay. Yeah. First of all, I honestly thought that this fashion thing was just going to be this ridiculous joke and everybody's just going to roll their eyes. I have received so much support from it. I do not understand. I think it must be a huge blockage for a lot of people to explore with dressing up, perhaps. It's the same thing for me. I didn't realize how much it was hindering me. So 365 days, last year was a bit of a sad year for me. It was like a loss of identity because my job stopped, just like for a lot of people, lots of things happened in that year. And I did not have joy in my life at all. I don't think. I was just sad almost nonstop and in shock. I'm going to say in shock because I couldn't quite comprehend what was going on. And I realized that way of living doesn't really work very well, and it doesn't help anything. And me being sad all the time isn't doing good for my mental health. Bottom line, I was just not having a good time. And then obviously it rubs off on other people. And I just wanted to instill some sort of joy in simple, fast, easy ways. And December 26th or something, 20, I don't know, December something, I started feeling better. And I realized how something switched inside, and I just started feeling better and better about myself. And I wanted to continue doing that. And I just had this random thought, like 365 days fashion experiment. And I was like, wait, what? It made no sense. It came through from some bizarre place. It was so strange. Now that I am doing it and I'm on day 40, maybe 50 now, perhaps, it makes sense because I actually wrote in my diary I think I started around 2012, writing in my diary that by the end of this year, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16, I'm going to dress amazing. And I'm going to know how to dress not eccentric. I just said, I'll know what my style of fashion is by the end of the year. And it kept on being this recurring goal. But then I've also been a minimalist for 7 years, 7+ years, maybe 8 or 9. And I was so attached to that label. I created YouTube videos about minimalism. So I really put myself in this box. But I couldn't. I needed that joy. And I just thought, fuck it. I'm going to stop putting this restriction on myself and live this weird dream that doesn't even make any sense. Like, what? Fashion? I've always said I hate fashion. Anyone that likes fashion is really stupid or crazy or vain, or I made up every excuse under the sun. And yeah, I just started. I said, whatever. My friend was he told me that in order to get better at music, he spent 30 days writing a song every single day. So I thought, if I just dress really crazy and wear whatever I want, 0 restrictions for 365 days, by the end of this year, I should have worked out what I like to wear and what I don't want to wear, what makes me feel good, what isn't mine, what is mine. And since I started doing it, I just feel free. Like, I couldn't even wear a single there was a necklace I've wanted to wear for 10 years. There was this big, fat and chunky necklace, and I couldn't wear it. I was too afraid to wear it. This necklace. And I thought, if I'm too afraid to wear a necklace, obviously I'm restricting myself somehow, and I'm not allowing myself to express and just weave with how I'm feeling, be playful. And now I wear whatever I want. I don't care. And it goes from some days I'm like wild, and even the day after, I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, really weird stuff, like bright red everything, these just ridiculous. And then the next day, like today, I just felt called to wear white, and I'm wearing a dress, a skirt, and feeling more feminine. And now I'm just whatever feeling I have, I'm allowing it to be expressed through the clothing. And I think that's awesome. I feel so free. I love it.
Yeah. It's like, what it feels like is there's almost like a melting of an identity or preconceived notion of who you think you're supposed to be, and allowing what is alive in the moment to move through you, and then moving through the resistance of like, well, but I'm Sorelle and I'm supposed to be like this. It's like, no, this is who I am today, and this is what is alive for me in this moment. And the next day it may be something completely different, but it's a strengthening of the surrender and trust in the essence of what's alive in the moment. How have you felt being around people, right? Because in my preconceived notion of living in LA and from England, I've like never been to Iceland before. And I just think in Iceland, there's really nobody that lives there. Like, it's like, I just think a lot of ice, a lot of ice. And then I see all this ice, and then a tiny little home wait, you don't have a fireplace, do you?
Not yet. No
chimney, tiny little home with some glowing lights on the inside. And then inside that tiny little home, there's Sorelle wearing a crazy outfit. But this is my perception of Iceland. Do you go out?
No, that's completely right. There's no one in Iceland. I go out.
Snow globe.
Exactly. Oh, my little pocket. I'm just always with you.
Yeah, you are your pocket size, all right? In my mind, your pocket size. You live in a snow globe. You have a tiny little house in there, and inside that tiny little house, you're wearing some crazy, like fake leather pants and some eccentric top. And you're kind of probably playing with some poi or like flossing or something.
Yeah, I do all of those things. On point. Okay. Do I go outside? First of all, I can't wait for you to see Iceland. It is breathtaking. You're going to fall over. It's amazing. So whenever you can, the house is open to you. As a side note, I'm totally inspired by you and your crew in Venice. I miss you all so much because the mastermind that you have. So I'm actually, because of the inspiration of Andre and you, I'm creating a mastermind space here. So whenever we can, I'm going to bring all of the greats here into this space. And so I'm now creating this space in mind with that. I'm so excited for it. That's a side note. But Iceland, funny enough, everybody here dresses so well. The fashion that these people have is incredible. And I think that's also partly why I feel totally okay. I go outside. I don't mind. I think I definitely still at times dress weirder than a lot of people, but I don't mind. I like it. I don't feel uncomfortable. I think it was day 10 of my experiment, so super early on, that I was wearing probably one of the most ridiculous outfits that I have actually. And I just walked into hot spring. What is it? Just like a pool. They have lots of hot spring pools here. And I walked in, didn't even think about it, didn't consider what I was wearing. And I felt like I knew that was the moment I was free. And it took 10 days. That was it. I didn't care what people thought of me. I didn't care. And I know that one of the rules that I have with this fashion experiment is that whatever I put on, I can't change when I'm leaving the house. Because I used to put on a necklace, for example, and then I'd get close to where I needed to go. And just before I got there, I would take it off because I felt super uncomfortable. So I could return back to my safety space. But now the rule is whatever you put on, you can't take it off. So, which is good. It stopped me from taking things off. I even went to my accountant's office dressed like crazy. And I was like, oh my God, he's not going to respect me. This is, what am I doing? But I said, you're not allowed to take anything off. And it was fine. He didn't even blink an eyelid. And I don't know. I don't mind. I also know that if I mess up or wear something that is really weird, then it's just one day out of 365. So nah. And also everybody knows now. So if I'm wearing something weird, they're like, oh, Sorelle's just wearing weird stuff for today or tomorrow and for the whole year. And if I'm not wearing weird stuff, the weird thing is if I'm not wearing weird stuff now, I swear people are looking like, what happened? So now I'm like open to bringing it. I can bring whatever I want. And people are like, oh yeah, it's just Sorelle's experiment. So it's really created a lot of freedom for me. So much fun, so much play. And someone else was saying the other day, it's like lots of young kids, you just see them wear whatever they feel like. No restrictions at all. And that's what I feel like right now too. Just like a little kid playing.
It's so inspiring on so many different levels. And I think that it's so much vaster than just wearing eccentric clothing. It's actually the true art of not giving a fuck. And that is the subtle frequency that you get to bring with you beyond the 365 days that gets infiltrated into your work and your creations and your music and how you speak publicly or whatever it is. Like this is actually really the core of the gift that you're giving yourself. I'm curious. What would you say shifted for you, or have you in the past experienced actually giving a fuck, like really caring what other people think? Like you said, you took the necklace off and then it was like that part of you that's like, okay, I'm still not there yet. What, if you could speak into the shift between going from people pleaser energy, which most of us can relate to then all of a sudden creating an internal sense of freedom, which is physically manifested through the clothing, but really more so it's actually like a shift internally, which so many of us are actually dying to call in, and yet simultaneously still have a lot of people pleaser energy. So I was wondering if there's any wisdom that you have within that bridge.
Wow. That's so interesting. So 2020, everything just starts. That was a really pivotal year for me. One of the greatest learning lessons. I had to sit in so much shit and darkness. Anyway, it was just a weird time. But I've learned a lot from it. One of the things I learned was that I was really creating for other people. I really wanted people to like me. And I started, by the end of my YouTube journey, I think I was doing everything in my power to just cling on to people and please like me. Please like me. I need you guys to like me. Did you like this video? Why did you not like this video? What did I do wrong? And that energy is so suffocating because, I think everybody has this in everyday life, that they do certain things for others to be liked. But I was trying to please 1 million of my bosses, 1.5 million across my platforms. And like, will you accept me, boss? And if you don't, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm going to be very sad. And I was really sad because that kind of energy that I was putting out, people didn't want to be part of that. I wouldn't want to be part of that. That's the desperate energy. And it wasn't coming from a place of joy at all. It was more desperation. And now I'm starting to also see that the clothing was one way for me to break out of the box that I had created of expectations of what I should be, because I was this minimalist travel YouTuber. That's what I freaking did. And then I couldn't do that anymore. So the easiest and fastest way for me to break out of that box was I had to start. I actually wanted to do almost the polar opposite of what people expected of me. So I was a minimalist. Fuck it. I'm going the opposite way. I'm not going to be a minimalist. I'm going to dress crazy. I don't want to have a lot of things, but just, I'm an artist. So I want to be able to express myself through clothing. I don't think fast fashion is good still. I don't like it. I buy all my things secondhand because that's when you can find really nice treasures. Yeah. And that's when clothing is art. I don't think clothing should just be, the latest and greatest trends. That's not what it's about, because trends and trying to look cool or a certain style is still very limiting to me. So I wanted to say eccentric because that would allow me to do anything I wanted to. So that box, I wanted to break out of the minimalist box. So I went for fashion. And I really honestly thought people would be angry at me that I would do such a thing when I've been pushing minimalism for so many years. And I've been a minimalist and it was just my title. But they weren't. They were really inspired by it. And the fact that I'm doing it in a sustainable way through thrifting is I think people appreciate that, because I don't want to contribute to fast fashion at all. I don't believe in that world at all. But yeah, through being such desperate for people to love me, I am still working on it. I don't have it fully clear yet, but I can feel the do not give a fuck attitude really rising like a lot in me. And because especially with the turmoil that I felt out in the world, and I think we even had a conversation almost exactly a year ago where I was just drowning in the turmoil. I was, because everybody's voice was so loud, it felt like, and everybody was screaming and hating on one another a lot on the internet. And I felt like I received a lot of the energy, the pent up anger that people had. And because I didn't have this strong boundary between my audience and myself, it really got to me. When they said something, oh, I can't believe you didn't say this, or you did say this, I just felt a stab to my heart more and more, because I didn't have a boundary, because I was pleasing them so much. So I don't know, with this experiment, it's more of, this is my shield now. I have certain boundaries. Don't mess with them. If you don't like me, then you know where the door is. Like I'm not going to take on your energy. And I am feeling this now. If I read negative comments or anything, it legitimately doesn't affect me. And that is a really cool space to be in, because it has affected me so much. Now I try to understand, like, cool, you just don't get it. You don't get what I'm doing. It's fine. Bye.
That's a powerful piece, specifically now with everything that's happening with COVID. Loads of stuff is going online, and we're literally socializing with our friends that we used to gather with in group situations now online, whether it's a Zoom session or where you're posting on Instagram stories more, and that's how you stay in each other's lives and stay in connection with what's going on. And so of course now with the age of reaction, where nobody really knows where up and down is, nobody really knows what's going on, nothing's predictable, people are losing their jobs, there's a deadly virus on the loose, and everyone is in this reaction phase. And so now all of a sudden you've got somebody like yourself with just over 1 million followers across all of your platforms. You can imagine this is a projection field. So it's either I back down and I stop doing what it is that actually excites me or brings me joy, which is sharing and creating and being a creatrix, or face off and go into the core of the people pleaser in me that is giving my power away to actually acknowledge that my intentions are pure and I am doing the best that I can with the awareness that I have. And any part of myself that believes that I am not enough is the people pleaser energy I need to go into the core of. And so I think that this exercise that you're doing actually is so powerful, because this takes a shift of being like a victim or actually getting back in the creator seat. You got back into creator consciousness and you were like, I'm going to do something about this.
Well, 1,000%, because I don't know, Blue, if you knew, but I was going to quit YouTube. I was done I was meant to end of January. I was farewelling everybody. And 3 months ago, when I started making the shift in fashion, no, surely not. Around that time, I was like, maybe I do want to do this YouTube thing again. And I'll just create for the joy of it. I'll just have fun with it. I won't ask what people want. I'll just create what I want to create. And now I've got assistants, because I didn't want to do it by myself as well. Like, I think I've learned as well that I don't want to just be me, and creating 5 years of creating by yourself is a really long time. So now I'm looking for collaborations. But yeah, I was ready to give up I didn't want to be in the spotlight. I didn't want anything. I didn't want to be seen. I wanted to hide and shun away from the world. I hated being online, because it felt like no one could understand me and everybody was hating me. That's because I allowed everybody to because I didn't know who I was, because I was letting everybody trample on me. It was a really weird time. And then as soon as I said, no, wait, who am I? And I said bye. And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm quitting. What are you going to do afterwards? And then I started pinpointing the things that I was really interested in. And now I'm like, no, now I want to share, because I'm coming from a place of like, hey, guys, look what I'm doing. Not like will you like me?
Yeah,
so it's a really nice energy.
Textures. It's two very different textures of our offerings out into the world. And essentially, if there's any part of ourselves that believes what they're saying, then it can pull us down into it. Sounds like 2020 was a year of reflection of, where do I know myself through other people's eyes, and where can I actually recalibrate to know myself because I am?
Yes, 1,000%.
That's a powerful shift, though. Holy shit. You went through the dark night of the soul and you came back as who you are in every given moment without giving a fuck. This is amazing.
I know. It's so good. Oh my God. Yeah, honestly, I mean, even today, I'm slightly hungover, whatever. We filmed a music video yesterday, and in my not feeling the best state, I just had so much joy. I was looking around in my house. I was like, wow. And then I looked at my fiance, and I was like, wow. And then I was driving home looking at the landscape of Iceland, and I was like, wow. Everything was just everything was. And then I ate the most delicious food and just everything. And I feel like my year is just gradually going, the feeling inside of me is I'm just so much joy, and I don't know where it's coming from, because I had no joy last year. And surely this can't all be from a fashion experiment. I don't know, maybe.
Well, now you have so much more energy to actually acknowledge what is, because you're not leaking your life force energy towards what everybody else thinks. So now you have it available to appreciate the present moment and all the small things, which is actually where heaven on earth is found. It's not in these massive things. It's in the relationship. It's in your home. It's in everything you've created. It's in who you are.
Wow. Yeah. Because once you get off the I don't know, just focus on the things close to you. Just like a nice smelling candle or something. I don't know. That just seems so simple. And I know everybody always says that, like, see the small things are going to turn out to be the big things in the future. And it's true.
Yeah.
It's massively true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talks about this in the Gene Keys. Like, we want to have these big epiphanies and these breakthroughs, and we want to create these amazing things that we've created with our careers, or create this next big milestone. But actually, the magic is found in the mundane. And if we can train ourselves to actually see it in the mundane, then we can never lose. It's a shadow of expectation, thinking that my happiness comes from some sort of next external thing, which called waiting at expectation station for the rest of our lives, completely bypassing the mundane as the magic.
Wow. Oh man. See, that makes also a lot of sense, because I made it in my career and I was like, is that it? I felt nothing. I felt actually sadder. And I didn't know what the hell. One, I was leaking out my energy, because I was like, everybody, you have a piece of me. I'm owned by all of you. So that wasn't helping, but I couldn't appreciate it. And now I'm finally starting to appreciate things. And now, I mean, I'd say in the last maybe month or two, maybe 3, I'm finally appreciating my house. I bought a house on my 31st birthday in Iceland. It's hands down, I'm going to have to say it. It's true. It's the most beautiful house in Iceland. It's beautiful. I love it so much. And I hated it. I actually legitimately hated my house. I was so angry at my house, and it wasn't my house. It was how I was feeling towards everything in my life.
Yeah, when that eternal narrative is playing, that is not from a place of self-empowerment, it creates a lens that goes, it's actually got nothing to do with external, but all we can see life through is the narrative of the internal state. And so when that shifts, all of a sudden, everything shifts too. As we see it, so it changes.
That is incredible when you but it's easier. It can be easier said than done. Maybe you have some advice on how to do it. I just had to go through so much darkness to figure out that I don't want to be in that state. I just want to feel good. And in order to do that, I have to see the beauty and the simple things. So I had to train. But I didn't know it's easier when you know, people say, oh, just see life differently. It's like, but I don't know how.
Right. It feels almost like a very wide brushstroke to say that. Like, well, see life differently. Well, it's like, well, if you have the same mindset, or like one mindset of seeing through life a certain way, and then all of a sudden someone's like, well, let's look at it like this. It's like, yeah, but I've been doing this for so long. I don't have an opportunity to actually just shift that right now. So it's very easy to say it from somebody that seems to have got it figured out, but unless you're actually living it, then it's actually not that easy. What I want to acknowledge actually is that you got an intuitive hit to do this experiment, and where most would probably be standing in the shower and it comes in and be like, oh, that's silly, and then just let it pass as quickly as it came, like a river of thoughts. You actually caught that thought, and then you took action on it, which actually is the way to shift. Is, from my perspective, it is do something different than what you've been doing up until this point. Create a pattern interrupt into the narrative. First, acknowledge that the narrative is no longer serving myself or anybody else. And then secondly, actually, I'm going to create a pattern interrupt. What you did by doing this fashion experiment, from my perspective, is you created a pattern interrupt for yourself, which then created a different reality, which then actually pulled you out of the shadow state.
Wow, that's awesome.
And made you like 1,000 times more magnetic. Like, watch your career blow the fuck up right now, because your authenticity is now laced into every single thing that you do, because it feels good for you.
Yeah, that's the big thing. I didn't quite comprehend. I couldn't quite comprehend. Do what makes you happy. I was like, what do you how's this going to work for my career? But it does. And then I watch these creators, my favorite people to watch, creators, business people, writers, is people that legitimately just love their life. I just want to absorb some of that energy. And that's what inspires me. It doesn't matter if they're into fashion or clothing or travel or cooking. I don't care, as long as they're enjoying it. That's really where that is the magic. And I mean, it's not, since doing the fashion experiment, PS, I was, again, same thing. I was on the verge I've wanted to do music for about 20 years. I was on the verge of, it was driving me insane thinking about it. I couldn't release the thought anymore. I mean, I couldn't have that thought in my head. It was just a freaking over and over and over. And it was legitimately making me angry and driving me insane. So to my therapist, I said one day, I want to work on it. And today I want to either release it or go for it. I need to have it gone out of my life. I cannot have this thought poisoning me anymore of wanting to do something. I need to release it. And we worked on it. And it turns out that the next day she sent me through a profile of, we have the same music teacher, which is insane. I didn't know this until when I signed up and you were like, hey, that's my music teacher too. And I was like, what? But because it started off with this simple thing. And I love that this intuitive hit came from a simple thing such as fashion, because it really wasn't something, it didn't require me to put too much effort in. It wasn't like, hey, today you're going to start learning 10 hours of music, something drastic. It was just like, hey, every day you just have to choose a different outfit, which might take you 3 to 5 minutes. And that just seemed so simple. But because I was already on the path of not doing something for others, but just doing things for the joy of it, when the opportunity presented itself with music and I was sent this profile through, I was like, well, I'm already not caring as much as what people think about me. I might as well just roll with this one as well. And it was like the biggest dream I've had for 20 years of learning music. The biggest dream. I cannot stress enough. There is nothing in my life that I've ever wanted more than learning music. And I'm fucking doing it.
There is, if one, that sigh right there, if that could speak, it would say 1,000 words. It's just that I feel you on that. Like, it's like you just did it. You stopped the internal narrative and you just did it. A year ago, I mean, in a year's time, you will be so grateful that you started a year ago.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe I'm playing the full Johnny Cash Hurt song Hurt. I can play the full thing and I can sing and I can change chords all at the same time.
Now
it's been 5 weeks. I can do these things, and it just I guess like fashion, it just felt completely out of reach because I wasn't a fashion person. So I couldn't possibly understand what fashion meant. So I could never do it. Same thing with music. I was like, I just can't understand. I don't know what a chord is. I don't even know what a chord progression is. I don't know anything about music. Nothing. I picked up the guitar and it looked like the most complex map I had ever seen, with no instructions on how to read that map. So I was like, I'm never going to happen. But because I was just like, fuck it, I don't want to have that thought in my head anymore. I need to be free from that thought. I just started asking for help and getting the right accountability, I guess, with my teacher. I had to show up every, Tuesday and Thursday and had done some progress. And then I got my friend involved as well. He's a musician and he's helping me to learn guitar even more. And today, this is what I really wanted to highlight this, because this is a really huge pivotal point for me where I am stepping really strongly into vulnerability again. And it feels really good. I think, how do I explain this? I've been on this train of having worked, I've worked out my life pretty well. Like, I'm a business person. I understand business. I understand finances. I understand photography. I understand travel. So I was really bored with my existence. I was like done. I had fulfilled a lot of those things. I knew it. There was no challenge ever. Now I am rediscovering myself. It's like this brand new chapter of learning about brand new worlds that I knew nothing about. Makeup, even. I'm learning about makeup, which is ridiculous, crazy. But with this music thing, it's so, the fact that I'm in the vulnerable state, I know I'm in the right place because it's petrifying to me. And I had a music class today and my teacher said, eventually when you get to it, just practice your music on Instagram Live so that, you can practice in front of people, because I'm petrified of singing in front of people. And even to my teacher today, I had to sing in front of her. I had to close my eyes, and I started off like really silently singing. And by the end, I had warmed up my voice a little bit. It was so scary to me. And then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get through this really fast, and I will just do the Instagram Live now, get it out of the way, just the first one, just sing in front of people. I'll get over my fear really fast. I turn on my Instagram Live to do this, and I start bawling. Oh. And I was there for like 30 seconds, and I was like, maybe another time. I'm in like the most vulnerable state right now, and it feels really nice because I'm now a humble student of life again, instead of coming from a place of like, I know everything. Now I'm like, I know nothing. And it's so uncomfortable, but it feels nice because I'm finally challenging myself and pushing myself again, and I'm not bored. Like, I'm not bored at all.
There's something so powerful and courageous about showing up in the progress, not the perfection. And the narrative of perfection is why so many people will not even do it at all, because they're just like, well, I mean, it's just going to sound bad, and it's the fear of humiliation, and it's the fear of not looking good, and it's the fear of not hitting the right note. And specifically, you have a sizable audience, like over 500,000 followers on Instagram alone. And so you can imagine you're doing an Instagram Live. This is different from someone that's doing a live when they've got 100 followers and maybe 2 people show up. Like, you've got like hundreds of people in the room. If you were to place yourself in a room full of people, like, you would be there with a couple hundred people that are sitting there at least watching you while you're like, like doing it for the first time ever. So just to give it context for the people that are listening here, if they haven't already followed you, then what you're doing is you're literally going head on into the lion's den, and you only have what you learned for 5 weeks to defend you with these lions. Like, the courage that it takes, of course, like the fact that, you show up in all of these emotions, you're literally facing it head on of like coming up and out, but you stayed there though. Like, you stuck to it.
The Instagram?
Yeah,
no.
But you were on the Instagram and you had pressed live. Yeah. So like you had
pressed live. I was ready to go. I had my guitar, and then I just started bawling. I was like, maybe another time. And that was like the first step. And I that's the thing. I know it's not the last step. It's not I am now no longer, I have succeeded in going beyond the point of no return. That point when you're learning something new and you're like, maybe, gone. I am now there. I have taken that leap, and there's no going back. And I think for anyone learning brand new things, I think that's the most important thing, is that initial where it's so easy to slip back and be like, I don't really want to do that anyway, so whatever. To push back past that, and when you can't not do something, that's the great point to get to. And all of us can do that. That's the fun part. That's when you start playing and exploring instead of, I don't know. Yeah. That was really, really pivotal for me. So I know I'm going to go back on Instagram Live eventually and sing really awkwardly.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking about like, that there's followers of yours that they know everything about you because they've been following you for years. And yet you don't even really know much about them. And they may have never messaged you, but they watch your stuff and they watch you show up one day, and they watched as you, like 5 weeks ago when you first touched the guitar, for example, and now they see you doing an Instagram Live and you're playing. Now, what you're doing is you're planting a seed of inspiration within somebody that says, you know what? I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to hit all the right notes. I don't have to sound like Beyonce, but I can still do it because you showed up in that vulnerability. And that actually is your service to the world while simultaneously filling up your cup and finding your edge and leaning in, transcending and up leveling. Like, it's so powerful, specifically with someone with a platform, because you're using your platform in the name of vulnerability in a world of filters and in a world of distortion, in a world of illusions, and so many people trying to create this lens of perfection. You're showing up in the vulnerability of not having it all figured out, and even in tears. Like, this is so powerful. Like that girl that's now like, you know, got that scene all of a sudden now with her money that she got for pocket money that week, she ended up putting it towards a guitar and starting to play because she saw Sorelle doing an Instagram live. Yeah. Like we don't see these things, but that's happening.
I know. It's so, yeah, it feels weird. I sometimes have to not think that there are people that actually care what I'm doing, because this is the thing. I'm realizing that you literally just have to follow your own joy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is legitimately the most important thing you can be doing.
Mm-hmm. It's
the most important. And that's the most inspiring thing, because nothing else is as inspiring as watching someone thrive in whatever they love.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. But yeah, I try to imagine. I can't sometimes imagine that there was like 300 people that just watched me sob today on an Instagram live. Because it gets a bit overwhelming.
But if you to give it context the next time you go on a live and be like, so this, you know, this is what my process was, let people in on the process. Like that's actually even you just turning your Instagram live on and crying and then be like, not today, and turning it off is very inspiring, like deeply, deeply inspiring for so many people. Like ultimately, when you are in your job, which is essentially your joy of being, which you just gave it the context of, you can't fail.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. You can only grow. You can only refine. You can only up level, but you can't fail in this. And what it feels like, what happened, you know, you talk about the dark night of the soul of 2020, and this is not just you. This is like a collective ayahuasca ceremony, purging from all ends kind of experience. What it sounds like when I zoom out and look at that more of an ego perspective, it sounds like you got gifted your authenticity back.
Oh, I think so.
And if you think that you've already created everything that can be created, you just wait. When you start acting from your like deep, I don't give a fuck authenticity.
Oh, wow.
Watch the universe open up a whole other trapdoor of like magic that is available for you to
I'm excited
receive.
about that, because I have to say, I don't think I've felt like I thought I exhausted everything. That's why I was going to quit. Cause I was like, well, I've done it all. Like this surely can't go anywhere else. I kind of gave up on myself. I was like, well, I should just shut up and be quiet. And I was looking in the mirror being like, oh, I'm 31. Like I'm done with life. It's over. Like, I know it sounds dumb. Trust me. I know it sounds dumb. I couldn't stop myself. I just thought I had legitimately exhausted everything from my tank, because I had nothing more to give, because I thought I had to give instead of be as well. That was a big difference. I wasn't sharing. I was giving myself the whole time, which is okay in some time, but not all the freaking time.
There's a gene key about this. If you can't already tell, I'm a massive nerd with the gene keys because I keep referencing them, but it's sort of how my lenses work now after my extensive study with them. There's a gene key, and it's called the shadow of self-obsession, the gift frequency of naturalness, and then the acidic expression of being. So the highest expression. And the majority of the Western world are in the shadow of self-obsession. And how self-obsession can look is like, okay, how is it coming across to people? And how does it look like this? And am I saying the right thing? Am I showing up and am I doing the right thing? And am I creating this thing? And it creates this like storm of like becoming so obsessed with our own reality and our own workings that we actually can't fully tune into our service, because it's just about our own personal experience. And then it shifts into naturalness. And how it shifts into naturalness is when we actually let go of all of the labels. My name is Sorelle. My name is Blue. I am this year's old. I am a YouTuber. I am a creator. I am a storyteller. I am a traveler. And we got these labels. And it's the second that we actually can learn to take off who I think I'm supposed to be, this preconceived notion of what I think will be accepted by others. When you move through, it's called a threshold. Literally, it's a threshold shift. And it gets essentially when you start to come into a new frequency, it's like the birth canal. Things get really uncomfortable. It's the lobster that's like growing out of its shell, and it's so tight and so uncomfortable that it's got to shed the shell. What happens is when we release all of the labels of who we think we are, which would then be an amazing tool of the eccentric fashion experiment. because you're letting go of who you think you are and just letting to be alive in the moment. What's born of the next wave of naturalness is a whole new creative wave, and a sense of playfulness about life is born. And there's so much more room to be what's alive in the moment, and it moves from self-obsession into being.
I love that so much. I think I was listening to a podcast you did the other day, maybe, or something you were saying. And you said that we have a very, the words you used were so powerful, something like a disease of seriousness or something. Or something.
One of the greatest diseases on the planet is over seriousness.
You said, and I was like, it just hurt me. It just went so deep, because when I think of you, you're just so playful and you're always having fun. And I love that. It's such a nice free flowing energy. And even though my online persona, I have to say, it's always appears like I'm like that. There's another area of my life I'm trying to shed a little bit, but I'm still struggling to shed this specific persona that I have. But so my persona online looks like I'm always having fun, but I'm actually have been in the past quite serious in almost every aspect of my life. And now I'm learning to, make jokes, be okay with getting drunk, dancing like an idiot, doing things that just don't make sense, dressing weird, playing songs that I don't usually play, all these things, just playing. And it's so much fun. And I was like, wait, life is this. It's not, I was so serious in so many regards, man. It was, fucking exhausting. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, at what point does it shift? You go from being a young kid where it's like, play as much as you want. And then at some stage I don't know when it happens. We're told, you have to grow up. You have to be an adult, act like an adult. No, I don't want to act like an adult. Yeah. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I got a hit the other day. I did a 6-hour meditation with an eye mask on, and it was very exciting. And with Matt from Yes Theory, he was like, and while I was with the eye mask on, he was writing notes of everything that came forward for me, and something that was just like, life is either a playground or a prison, and it's only a prison because we become associated and identified with our thoughts. Our thoughts are the things that either created to be a playground or a prison. And ultimately life is a playground, but our thoughts created to be a prison. And I was like, okay. So like really in every moment, it's like a movie, and there's just a different scene in the movie. And it's like, how do you want this scene to go? Because like, we can throw as much paint on this canvas as we want. And yet we have been told to grab the black paint and just draw straight lines. And so we've created this self-made prison in actually a reality that's a playground. And it's based off of other people's narrative that we've incorporated as our own truth. And then all of a sudden we're like, why do I not feel alive?
Oh my God. Wow. So much truth. Yeah. I was just thinking, because I was like traveling and I was free, traveling the world, seeing everything, doing whatever I wanted to prior to 2020. And, I was meant to be thrilled, but I was traveling too much because I had severe FOMO. I didn't know how to stop that cycle. I was writing my diaries for 2 years before 2020 came, that I want to slow down, but I couldn't because of fucking FOMO. And I was like, I have to be here. But funny enough, it became so structured for me. That became my prison. And I know this doesn't make sense. It's weird. But now I'm stuck in Iceland, no travel, not traveling for such a long time. Great thing happened. Don't feel like traveling. Don't want to travel again. Like, I want to see my family. I miss my family. But I feel I no longer have that prison. I have a playground. Like, everywhere I look, it's just, I see fun now. And it's like before, this playground was meant to be the world and I could do anything. But I think the too many options actually made it really hard for me, and it was overwhelming. And now I have less options and I see the beauty in the moments and the small things. So much more free. It's incredible.
And this is such testament around the TEDx talk that I gave around how our frame, our thoughts create, I actually watched that. Thanks for sharing it, by the way.
I loved it so much. You were unbelievable. And everything you're just an angel. Your wisdom is incredible.
Thank you so much. That means so much. I'm so grateful that you watched it. Like it kind of, one of those things. You create these things. It's like my life's work, like compact into 16 minutes. And when someone watches it, it's like me being naked, laying on a chaise lounge. Like, what do you think?
And I love it.
But really, what you're doing, and you are a living embodiment of what I talked about, of how our thoughts create the frame around our existing piece of artwork. We have been given an art piece of artwork, our lives and ourselves. We are exquisite pieces of artwork. This reality is so profound. And if we've forgotten how profound this reality is, look at the perfection of a piece of fruit, or look at a spider on your finger, and how you look at it closer, you'll see that it's this quantum computer. Like all the parts work perfectly. It's like this tiny little transformer made by what? The all-seeing thing? Like, let's just zoom out for a second. We're floating on a massive rock hurling through space at thousands of miles an hour, held into orbit by a massive ball of fire. Like, that's actually our reality. And yet we create these thoughts that go like, oh, my life is a prison. But really what you're doing is through this again, circling back to this eccentric fashion experiment, you are rewriting the narrative in which your artwork lives in, and you're putting a frame around it that it deserves to allow the value to really be able to be experienced by the world. It's powerful. It's so much more than just silly fashion. It's literally a breakthrough into a higher frequency of being human.
God damn. So badass. And it came from nowhere. That idea literally came from nowhere. Divine. Thank you.
What were you doing at that time? Were you just like, when this insight just came through?
I was hanging with my friends. Iceland, we don't have that many restrictions. So we were just out, all of us after Christmas, just in the West Fjords of Iceland. All of us are really beautiful creators. My friendship group here, I am so thankful for them, because a lot of them are also stuck away from family. So we are each other's family now. And I love them. They're such interesting creatives. And we were all just chilling out, taking 2 days off, which never happens for any of us, to just sit down and do nothing. I wasn't playing music then. I couldn't. I was just staring at them like, what are they doing? They're playing guitar. Some of them are weaving. Some of them there was just so much creativity, just spontaneous play. And I was sitting with my friends on the couch, and all of a sudden I just had this, and I said it out loud to my friend Ben, and I was like, I'm going to do a 365-day eccentric fashion experiment. Yeah. And that was it. I was like, what?
Yes.
That was it. I don't know where it came from. I do not know where it came from. It doesn't make any sense.
The avatar higher version of you that was like, I know exactly the piece that's going to allow the infiltration of fun and playfulness, the melting of all identities, labels, and logos of who she's supposed to be, while simultaneously shifting her into a higher octave so that she can appreciate the small things again. Here you go. Divine intervention. You're welcome.
Boom. Mic drop.
Boom. This will change your life while having a fucking great time while doing it.
Hell yeah. And it's doing it.
So if you were to sum it up into one of the greatest gifts you have received from, you're in day 40, did you say?
I think it's close to day 50 now.
Day 50.
January 1st I've started. So whatever. Yeah. I don't know what date it is today.
So far, basically about 50 days into this eccentric fashion experiment, what would you say is the biggest nugget that you've received so far? Like if you were to sum it up in one thing.
Oh.
Put you on the spot with that.
I know. I'm trying to, I don't have a word for it. I think it's just, I want to say something really profound, but it is profound. It's freedom. I
was thinking in my head, freedom. It's freedom. It's freedom. Come on, it's freedom. Let's go. And you're like,
yeah,
I think it's freedom.
No, yeah, legitimately freedom. And to me, my biggest, most important thing in life is freedom. I created my whole life with the intention of being as free as possible, no limitations, not ever having a normal job, being able to travel, do whatever I want. make money for my joy, did it all for freedom. Health, I prioritize health because I want freedom for, my body to be able to do everything it needs to and live as well as I can in this world. So everything I do is for freedom. And then the universe was like, psych, some things are out of your control. I was like, oh, freedom. I can't see my mom in Australia. Like, cool. So this was a way for me to explore freedom in different ways. Freedom of self.
Freedom is an inside job.
Yeah, it really is. It really, really, really fucking is. Yeah. Because even though I had the all the other things which I thought were giving me freedom, I still was trapped. I was so trapped.
And yet when the freedom was from an inside job, now all of a sudden you're starting to appreciate the things that really matter in your life, your home, your lover, the scenery, nature,
friends, community.
yourself.
Yeah.
The only person you got to live with for the rest of your life. Like, we may as well start like loving up on this thing. Like, oh, hey girl.
I like this one. She good. I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna say, yeah.
I'm amazed. This has been an hour already. Can you believe it?
No.
We just steamed through this. We should probably, most likely just have you as a recurring guest on Deja Blu, because you don't have your own podcast yet. So wait, you do have a podcast? I thought you started a podcast.
I do, and people really love it. They're like, more. They keep asking for more, and I thought they were the shittest little things that I put out, just like random thoughts, voice notes, literally. I'm just like voice noting something, and then people are like, when is the next one? I'm like, you want to listen to my voice notes?
Yeah, because you're brilliant. All right, newsflash. You are brilliant, Sorelle. I only have brilliant people on Deja Blu, okay? You are brilliant. You made the cut. You're inspiring. You're fabulous. Your fashion experiment is like bringing me life. Anytime that I see you pop on Instagram stories and you're like, and it says like day 40 out of 365, and she's like there like with a massive smile and just like wearing the most like outrageous outfit, and I'm like, it's such evidence for me that it's not about what you do, it's about who you be while you do it that's going to create it to be irresistible to people. And even if people wear just Levi's and a hoodie and like that's what they feel like their expression is, it's beautiful. And simultaneously for them to watch you, they may not ever want to wear that, and yet simultaneously it's irresistible because of the joy you're exuding while doing it. So that's the piece, that's the what I can feel, that's the flavor, and that's what's inspiring. That's what trickles into my experience. Is like she's found her joy again, and that joy then spreads to others, and it's such a gift. So just so grateful for you and what you're creating, and how you have. What I've just really noticed is that you have such a powerful balance between the masculine and the feminine principles. And what I mean by that is the your relationship with finances and with business and structure and building and marketing and with photography and it's essentially like the infrastructure which has allowed you by your early 30s purchasing your own home.
3
you were 33 when you got your home?
No, I bought 3 homes last year.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I bought 3 homes. I'm looking for my 4th home now.
I actually didn't know that. I thought you only had one.
No, I bought. I'm now 2 investment properties in, and I'm looking for another one, or either 1 or 3. By the end of the year, I'm going to have 10. Anyway, yeah,
That is so inspiring. That is so inspiring to me. Did you know I found out a statistic the other day that only 10% of all land on the earth is owned by women?
Oh,
only
shit.
Only 10%.
What? Okay, so I put in an offer, which is hilarious. It's my favorite number, 444s. I put an offer for a piece of property in Australia. So I'm buying my investments in Australia. And it was less of an offer than other people were putting in, but I wanted this huge piece of land that was available and I wanted to preserve it, because that's the thing. I'm not just investing for shits and giggles. I also want to preserve the land. So the 2 investment properties I bought are just like encompassing land because I want to protect the land. I don't want it to be developed because I think there's so much more that can be done instead of just, here's a house. We can have tiny houses, but it was all about the land. And yeah, I got it for my, I was just like, how about $4,444? Oh no, $444,000. And they took it. I was like, my favorite number.
What? And they accepted your offer? You just got another piece of land. Sorelle. I mean, come on. How inspiring are you for anybody and everybody that's listening to this podcast, me massively included here? This is so inspiring. You are creating a new blueprint of what it means to be human and how to really like suck the marrow out of this life. Like it's yeah, wow. And yeah,
sometimes
also
I forget. Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm here to reflect you and remind you of how profound this is and inspiring, deeply inspiring. I just turned 30 and I own 0 pieces of property. And yet simultaneously, I just did my very first investment yesterday, which is exciting because I've always been the fairy that's kind of like, art and creation and all of these things. And I've just got enough for the next 15 feet in front of me. And that's enough. And that's fine. And then something shifted where I went from the maiden to the mother archetype, which was like, I want to start preparing for like children and like have something to pass on to them and like a home in the future and starting to like build my finances from that place. So I did my very first investment, which feels really good. But you can imagine how inspiring you are to me. Because you're also playing the harp and the guitar and the piano and you're making videos and you're a storyteller and simultaneously you really anchored in the 3D and learning how to navigate it in a way that supports you to be able to be of service to so many more people because you have the resources and also, you know, being able to create spaces for other people to thrive as well and everything that you're building.
I mean, there's so many levels to that. Yeah. Finances and business has always been some of my favorite things to do. I really love it. I love business. I really do. And so I'm actually doing the opposite. I started with masculine energy really strongly in my life. And now I'm shifting more into the, you know, flowy, creative, goddess-like energy. I really want to cultivate that because I'm very afraid of that energy. And that's why all my mentors, yourself included, have this goddess-like energy, and I'm trying to figure out how I can have that because that has always scared me. So this is one thing that I know with the eccentric fashion experiment is also I'm going to start dressing like a goddess because that really scares me to do that, to put myself in feminine energy. So that challenge is definitely coming up. But when I got an email today from my mom because she's managing one of the properties and that we're renovating in Australia, and she said that someone just dropped in a note to want to rent the house because there's a shortage of houses in the area. And I'm renovating this house that is gorgeous. It just needs some love and care. And this man has been living out of a tent for 6 months because, you know, he's on disability pension. They moved into a house, but then the house got sold. They can't find a property to live in. And he was like, can we rent this place out? This is what we can pay. I'll never miss a payment. They desperately just want a house to feel safe in. And it made me realize that this real estate journey that I'm on, it's not just like, oh, yeah, fun investment. Now there's another level of purpose of me being like, wait, maybe I can buy a piece of land with tiny homes that are really beautiful and high quality and have food around there so I can help nourish people as well. It's like I'm now trying to be of bigger service, but it started off as just like, hey, I want to invest in real estate, you know, because I think that's fun. And it's obviously security for me because I also want to have security for myself and my family. But now it's like, wait, I can do so much more with this thing as well. It's beautiful to be of service to someone I took care of my finances first. And now I get to give back through that journey to other people. So it's like, I had to take care of myself first. And now it's the second mountain that I'm climbing to give back. And I didn't think it was going to be through me being able to provide great real estate to people, but I think it might be part of my journey coming up, which is crazy.
Yeah, it just goes to show that your ability to maneuver and understand the 3D actually does go hand in hand with your service to the world and your service of wherever you can, you know, be able to pour into other people's cups. But first and foremost, your cup has got to be full. Otherwise, we're just falling into the archetype of the wounded healer and trying to help everybody else but ourselves and bypassing that actually our feeling is our contribution to the collective.
Yes. And there's no harm in taking care of yourself and your cup, really isn't. I think people feel ashamed because they shouldn't do that. Like, don't be joyful because other people are sad. Well, that's not going to help anyone.
Right.
don't give away all your money because, other people need it. It's like, but what about if something goes wrong in my family or whatever? I have to take care of me and my family first. And then I feel free and set in order to give back. Like I'm grateful I was selfish in a way by cultivating these things and learning how to take care of myself and my family first, because now it's just like, I have the skills, I have the knowledge, and now I can just be like, bleh, vomit it out and help others with it. Or support maybe is better than help. But I'm still just doing what I want to be doing still. And that's pretty damn cool.
I mean, it's like the new 1%. Like we've got the 1% that hold all the wealth, but what's the actual new 1%? Well, it's the ones that actually have the wealth, but still manage to maintain to do what they love. That's a new type of human.
I like that. And the ones I'm hoping that the new 1% is also going to be like, hey, like, I really want to look after you. Like, I really like you and I like humanity and I like the planet Earth and I like animals. So I'm going to contribute that way as well. It's not just like mine, everything for me. Well, essentially the earth of resources and everything. It's more just there's other ways. And I remember like 5 years ago, I was like, is it possible to succeed and do good at the same time? And this has been a question in my head for a while. And it is. It's damn fucking possible.
It's the only actual sustainable, truly sustainable way of doing things. It's the direction that we're going to move in once we actually get over the hurdle of self-awareness.
Just could listen to you talk all the time, Blue. Everything you say is just like, oh wow, another nugget of gold.
Nuggets, just a big bag of nuggets. And also a huge acknowledgement towards a very, very, very in-depth study with the gene keys that have just helped me to like actually have some sort of context for this wild, crazy human experience and the direction that we get to move in if we actually just have some self-awareness and take action on the intuitive pitch, which is essentially, what we've talked about today and many other things. So it's just who you be and the joy that I receive from knowing that the Bluebirds will now, at least if they haven't already before, now get to put you on the map as an archetype of someone that's doing it. Yes, this brings me so much joy. So Sorelle, in honoring of your time, if I am a Bluebird listening to this and watching this and being like, holy jolly, this woman is brilliant, I need to follow her, she's amazing. How can I continue to weave with you? And what is your Instagram? And how do I, if I want to connect with you or whatever it is that you've got going on, would you feel free to share it with us, please?
Yes. Every platform, it's Sorelle Amore. SORELLEAMAMORE. Every platform you can find me on, everywhere, and just reach out. And I am so excited to introduce my audience to you because and I don't get to have these conversations, and I want to connect more with my audience. So I'm excited for them to even hear this, to get to know me better, because these are the conversations that I really thrive in. So thank you for giving me the space to do this, because I really want to figure out a way to give more of this out into the world. And so you've given me permission to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, more of it, please. Because already what you create is just like a profound artistry that is like, joy to the eyeballs to be able to look at it and be like, wow, that's such a beautiful angle and amazing lighting. And is that a falcon? Oh my God. But like, to move from that to be like, wow, that's profound. And then, oh my gosh, and her as an individual is so much wisdom and deeply inspiring and very authentic and such a permission slip. Like, more of you as much as possible, please. And thank you. And I am honored to be able to utilize my platform to be able to highlight you in all of the ways. I know that my platform is still growing in size, and yet simultaneously the Bluebirds are committed.
You are unstoppable. You and your Bluebirds are unstoppable. So much wisdom. I love it.
We're flying. Oh, well, Mama, thank you so much for your time today. What an absolute joy and a pleasure to be able to connect with you. And I'm planting the seed here now that there'll be more experiences of you coming on Deja Blu at more stages of your life as it continues to unfold. Thank you.
I love you.
I love you so much. To all of you beautiful bluebirds listening at home, thank you so much for tuning in today. And you can tell my excitement now at the beginning of the podcast when I was introducing Sorelle and telling you that she has this tiny little pocket sewn into my heart. Now you can see why. So feel free, if you want, to get out the needle and thread and to sew a little pocket for your baby little Sorelle that's going to sit there now because you've made it to the end of this podcast and you've clearly probably fallen in love with it just like I have. So to all of you listening, thank you so much. And may this podcast illuminate and inspire and uplevel you, recognizing that your thoughts are the frame in which you put around your artwork, and you have the opportunity and the power to shift your internal conversation, that you are now playing in a playground, not a prison. We love you so much. May you feel seen and heard and loved and supported in this moment right now where you are, because all we have is right now for the rest of our lives. Sending you so much love. Bless, bless.